Show. I'm Lynn Serrano.
I'm Scott Jones, and we are surrounded by guests and friends. And as always, this is our Tuesday night, as we all see it, where we throw some topics out there that people might be interested in hearing, and everybody gives their spin. And the great thing about this panel that we put together each week is that there's mad respect for each other. There's mutual admiration for what each of us do. And we all have that little bit of a spin that we put on things that you don't have to agree with everybody. But if you listen, you're going to find something that might work for you. So stick around and see what happens.
Scott, I just want to introduce everybody to John Horton. He's an amazing mortgage guy, but he's got a great personality. He's going to fit into the mix really well. And yeah, I had to get somebody to make Scott feel better. Scott's very talented. He's a musician, artistic, everything, you name it. But he's not an author yet. Neither is John Horton.
Neither am I. So apparently Scott is four things I am not. So I'm still not sure why I'm here. But I guarantee, number one, I'm honored, Lynn, because I love you, love Deb. I watch everything you guys do. I've seen all your shows, Scott. We spent 20 minutes together, man. I feel like we could just hang out in bunk beds and just talk all night and see what's going on. And
I got a bunk bed story, but Scott wouldn't want me to tell about that right now.
Okay, that's a different show.
Apparently.
Anyways.
You got me with the bunk beds. I'm just like, well, I really don't do that, but hey, whatever.
Where do you go from there? Exactly.
This is great.
Anyways, well, and some of our friends are either running later and they're not going to be here, but we love and appreciate them. And Debbie will be driving and probably be in the comments here soon. So go ahead, Scott, on our topic and whatnot.
Yeah, what we wanted to talk about today, Lynn and I had a convo, and this is something that is important to me, especially with the work that I do with working with mental health and addictions, is to avoid complacency in your life. And a lot of people might start reaching towards that goal that they want, or may have a small achievement. And sometimes when we have that small achievement, we celebrate that so much we forget to keep going, or that we kind of rest on our laurels. It's for all of you writers out there, it's like writing a book and writing a beautiful first chapter, but then walking away saying that's enough. It's not. I mean, you want to keep going. You want to keep building. One of the things that I thought about was this weekend was, as I was sharing with everybody, I had a showing for some of my art, and I was very excited about that. And part of me walked away like, this is it. This is great. And then I realized it's like there's more to do. And that's one thing, it's really easy to become complacent, to have a small victory and then forget that there's so much more beyond that, and to keep going. Doesn't mean you shouldn't celebrate. I believe in celebrating things. When I'm working with people with addictions, we celebrate each day that we remain sober. Absolutely. But don't get complacent and think just because I got 10 days in a row that I got this thing licked and I'm feeling good. It's still work. It's still moving forward. Celebrate those small things, but don't become complacent. If you want to reach your goals, you can't stop at step one. You got to keep going. So that's one thing I wanted to put out there. It seems like we do this, especially when things require a little bit more work than other things. Yeah, if it's fun, then everybody keeps going. But if there's a little bit of work involved, it's easy to become complacent. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. If you've had experience with that, or if you've worked with people who have had those problems. And, Barry, one of the things I was also thinking about was in relationships, that's also important too, is that, oh my God, things are great. This is wonderful and we're fantastic. I don't have to worry about this relationship anymore. It's perfect the way it is today. And then 6 months from now, it's going to be different. You have to still work at it, and you still have to put effort into it. So all of that stuff kind of fits in. So I don't know if you guys are feeling this topic, if there's something you want to add to it, or something. You could do anything you want. Just don't tell me I'm wrong, because I'm very sensitive and I just might cry.
You know what? I'm gonna jump in real quick, Scott. Being the new guy, I figure I'll just throw myself under the bus right away. First of all, I am in the mortgage business, so you know how that goes. Rates are great. Things are awesome. You can't be complacent. You wake up every day starting number one. You have to get out of bed. I'm a big Mel Robbins fan, man. I do the Tiki-Taka every morning at 8:30, and it's all about being positive, how to start your day. If you hang out with negative people, man, you're going to be negative. And really quick, going on the family side, I got a wife and 6 kids. Slowly, my 6 kids are moving out. Now there's 2 left. One's a junior, one's a sophomore. Now they're not here. So we were complacent in our life with the kids. You're running the football, you're running the volleyball, you're running the cheerleading. All of a sudden, bam. I mean, and when you're younger, people tell you that time flies. You're like, whatever. Okay, I'm still younger. Time flies, man. And like in the house now, where it used to be 9 people, honest to God, is my wife downstairs and me upstairs. So that complacency, like you said, Scott, you want to address before it happens. You don't think about it because you're busy with the family, you're busy with work, you're busy with whatever. But when you hit that, all of a sudden, 9 people to no people, what do you do? So I think this is an awesome topic, Lynn, Scott. I think this needs to be addressed. People don't want to address things until it happens. But man, when it happens, you want to be ready for the next chapter. You don't want to look at your wife and say, I haven't talked to you in 27 years. Now what do you do? Start over? What do you do? And whether it's work or not, again, you wake up on the mortgage side, man, every day, let's go. You got to drive. Take that work and bring it home, knowing it's kind of the same thing. You wake up every day being married or being at work. Every day's a new day, man. Make the best of it and just drive with it.
I love what you say there, and I want everybody to think on this topic is you always have to ask yourself why. Like, why did things happen? How did they happen? And, and that kind of stuff. But also you got to remember, what's your purpose now? Mm-hmm. Your purpose always has to change with the times, and it, like the purpose of the cycle of life of your kids leaving and that kind of stuff. So I think as we keep talking, realizing those are the questions that we do stop. We get so busy with everything else that we do not see. Like if you were taking a map and getting directions, you have directions of where you're going. But then once you get there, what were you going to do when you got there?
Right.
You can't just get to that destination and like, oh shit, what the hell do I do now? You could do a Chevy Chase Lampoon thing and go, okay, here we are. Okay, see it. Okay, let's go. You can do that kind of thing. But, anyways. So, and by the way, I've got to take a moment out to mention Scott Hipster here, 2 Hips. This man is not even home, and he takes time out. Last week, I think also, he's been gone from home for a little while. He takes time to show up for this show. I am super honored that you do, and you make time, even on your birthday with your wife. I'm just super honored that you dedicate your time to this show. And he wrote this great book. That sucks now. What now? But I'll tell you what, this right here probably says a lot with the topic.
Yeah, it really does. And thank you, Lynn. It's an honor to be here. It's always fun, with you and Scott, and well, sometimes Scott, most of the time, and Debbie, of course, and of course Barry and John. Welcome to this lunacy.
Thank you.
Don't tell him.
It's like Animal House, and someone just invited me in, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
7 years of college down the drain.
Exactly.
Anyway, interesting topic, because I think a big part of it, one of the, when my lovely wife said, let's go out to visit my sister-in-law or her sister, my sister-in-law, take our puppy out, which turned 11 months old yesterday, to meet her golden doodle. And, that they could play together. You can work from anywhere. Well, that's true. Why don't I? And just go ahead and do that. But we've laughed about some silly stuff. We've gone to a movie. We hadn't gone to a movie in forever, but we were away from home, and we went to a movie and saw a friend in a pretty decent role in Jesus Revolution. So that was cool to see an old buddy that I used to be on the road with for years. And all of a sudden he says, yeah, I'm in this movie. Well, we got to go see it, so we went and did that. And we're doing just other things. But what came to me immediately about the topic was probably one of the best ways to avoid complacency is be continually grateful, because everything is a new experience, quite frankly. It's so funny working in Pacific time zone. I woke up yesterday and I was talking to somebody on the phone like at 6:30. It was some stupid time. And I said, I already feel like I'm 3 hours behind, and the day just started. It was like, what the hell, right? But the continual gratitude of having opportunities and being able to do shows like this and positively impact some lives, not purposefully saying some nugget, but somebody takes a nugget and they pull that out of what is said here today, and everybody's got a little different take. That's the fun of it all. And quite frankly, from a business side, in today's economy, or whatever the hell they call it out there these days, the fact
making
is,
money.
Yeah, how could you be complacent?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff going on that it's like, okay, well, let's get a little order back into things and treat people with dignity, honor, and respect. And it's just, we all have this opportunity. It's not that complacency is just kind of sitting.
Yeah.
And think of a pond or water that sits. The algae grows, it starts to stink, it's nasty, it's all that different kind of stuff. How about bubbling some things up and keeping the air circulating and doing all that? Well, it's a little bit about the same thing for yourself, going out and, doing the same old, but also trying things new, meeting new people, having great conversations, shocking the hell out of people, just having fun. That's one of the fun things about, changing your location for a period of time. Now you walk into a grocery store and everything might be the same branded store, but it's a totally different group of people. Mm-hmm. And so you start saying things and having conversations and they go, you aren't from here, are you? No, not at all. Peggy and I went to happy hour the other night, and this couple was just finishing up their fourth course, sitting at the bar, and it was 5:15. He was like, it's 5:15 in the afternoon. Yeah, I know. We caught the happy hour specials. So again, just different experiences. That's
Wait,
how
you're saying that's bad, Scott? Because
no.
I don't like the way you're going there, brother.
I gotta tell you something. We played a game on the show last week, and it was page 30, and it's how's your sex life, right? And in your book it says page 30, it says, once Peggy and I decided the decision to be together forever, caring for each other was beyond the call that became the standard operating procedure. So I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Scott, can I bring you to a point you made just a moment ago, and we kind of glanced past it? There's so much at our fingertips now. There's so much. It's almost like with technology and with access to information and with faster cars and faster everything, chaos is created very easily. So, and chaos can create complacency. It's like you go into the supermarket because you want to eat a healthy diet and everything. You hit the cereal aisle. You're looking for something with a good fiber content, but you're so distracted by the Captain Crunch and the Fruit Loops and the this and the that sometimes it's hard to keep your focus. And loss of focus can create a complacency as well. How do you manage that so that you could still be a part of all the chaos and do the things you got to do, but remain focused? How do you keep that focus?
Well, I think that's part of the intent or being intentional about what you do and just having a desire. It was really cool. A friend of mine, and this is going to maybe sound a little weird, but I coach intuitively. I teach intuitively. It's what just came up. A friend of mine on Sunday posted, I'm taking my own compliment challenge. Just put your name in the message, and I'm going to say something about you. And it was just on Facebook. And it was like, so I put my name there. But first I said, you know, Don is just the consummate professional. He's an absolutely amazing talent that's got a great desire to serve the world. And he comes back and he goes, this isn't about me. This is about you. I'm supposed to answer about you. Well, I got that. I mean, I understand that side of it. But the point was that just because the rules were set one way doesn't mean that you couldn't act different. Right? We tend to get caught up in all this stuff and going, well, what's right or what's wrong? Or gosh, he didn't, you know, he wasn't yearning for everybody to fawn all over him, because I know the guy. He wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
And he was almost a little bit upset that people were fawning over him. But the fact is, he came back and wrote one of the nicest things about me. Man, if that's the only thing that anybody ever says about me, I'm good. It was so
beautiful.
Cool. But he said it. I mean, he did it before I did, so it wasn't like my thing caused that reaction. But again, I think we have, you know, when you sit there and say, how do you stay out of this? It sounds weird. I made a decision many years ago. I just want to be a nicer person. It sounds like a really simple thing. Guess what? It kind of is. If you want to be nice, you'll be nice. If you want to be helpful, you'll be helpful. You know, so what's your intention? Where are you going with it? And when you start to put that intentionality behind things, it's actually amazing what happens. Because at some point it becomes unconscious competent. For a while you're thinking about it. And then all of a sudden it executes. Go ahead.
And
John.
the funny thing is, kind of going off of that, is I made a point of, you know, whenever I'm in the grocery store, wherever you're at, when is the last time you've complimented someone and what is their reaction? Nobody gets complimented.
No, I got a great friend, Sean G. Murphy, and I'm going to give him all the credit in the world about this. In fact, I even wrote it in my book and quoted. But Sean will walk in, every time he does it, I go, damn it, he did it again. But we'll walk into some place and he'll go, Scott, I just wanted to say thank you for all the people who haven't said it for you for all your efforts. I want you to know you're loved and cared for.
Aww, love that.
And I'm like, damn it, he beat me to it again. You know,
but how did that make him feel? Anytime I'm in a restaurant and there's any service member in there, I pick up their tab. I don't want credit for it. I want nothing for it. Right. But how did that make him feel when you do that and people look at you and it's like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? It's 7:30 in the morning. I've complimented 3 people. I'm on my way to the office. I feel like $1 million. And you know what? I'm going to give you 2 business cards and you're going to pass them out. Not doing it for business, but they're going to tell that story that some weird dude came up to me at a gas station and said, hey, I really like your shoes. You look great today. Everything, whatever that little compliment is, by 7:30 in the morning, you've made 3 people's day. How does that make them feel, and who are they going to tell? Whether it's business or not, I didn't mean it that way, but they're going to be high for the rest of the day.
Well, the other side of that is how many positive, impactful impressions are they going to make the rest of the day because of that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Paying it forward.
Not only does it affect them, but it's that cyclone of goodness starts to get created.
Yep.
I got to tell you, Scott, I came across somebody that I knew was doing that, where you put your name in, they're going to compliment you. And I put my name in and it came back, who the frick are you? And it upset me. And what was worse is then I had to unfriend my mother. I mean, I was so upset with her.
Come
she
on.
didn't know who I was.
I want to say welcome, Rex.
Barry, where are you at with all of this, man? Welcome, Rex.
Rex, how are you?
Welcome, Rex.
Yeah, I'm all right. So a couple of things I want to
Love you, Rex.
One of which is, John, what you said about praising, complimenting. You, Scott, said the same thing. My question is for people watching and everybody on the panel, do you do that in your relationship every day? At 7:30 in the morning, you telling your partner, you're amazing.
Okay, I'll be right back. Let me go tell her. Hey, guys.
That's my point. That's my point. No, this is the point. In relationships, we get complacent. Same thing. And one thing I was going to say before we started about that was about avoiding complacency. I think for some people, they'd rather be complacent because they fear if they're not being complacent, they're going to be risk being uncomfortable. Like they look at complacency and comfort going together. If they say the same, no ripples, don't make any waves, I'll be comfortable. That creates complacency. And for some people, that's a preference rather than being out in the wilds, risking things, trying new things, experimenting, changing things up all the time.
And you know, it's funny. It's sad because some people would rather go out and give a stranger a compliment than the people that they're closest to them.
Don't get me started.
I'm just saying. And that's the complacency. Avoid being complacent. Start where you live.
It's not complacency. It's not complacency in a sense. What it is we go unconscious about people we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Our friends, if we see them every day or we see them every week, we don't go. Do we hug them? Do we go and say hi? Do we check in how they're doing? We just go, oh, they're fine.
Take it for granted.
Human beings, period, to do that.
That's a great point.
Table, actually sharing a story about my book. Because when I started my book, I didn't plan on being an author. I still don't really believe I'm an author, even though I've got that book. You can see right there in Lynn's hand. I basically posted on social media my beliefs about relationships. And I had like these little paragraphs I'd written over, 2 or 3 months. And I had put them into a little Word document just to keep them aside. I'll use them for something. But I had no idea what I was going to do. And I had this, and I've shared the story before, maybe on this podcast as well. I basically said, what I'm going to do with these items I had this little voice in the back of my head, which I call spirit, little still small voice that said, write a book. And I was like, no, I'm not an author. I don't do that. And so I'll find something else to do. And I kept asking the question, and the answer kept coming back, write a book. So after about 2 weeks of this persistent, calm, never varying voice that said, write a book, I said, fine, show me how. And it did. So I started writing the book. And once I finished writing the first draft, I got really scared. Because I thought if I finish this, I got to send it out and make it like live and make it in the real world. It took me a year to get back to that book. That was my fear factor of not being uncomfortable. So I actually I was staying complacent in the sense of like, if I keep it under wraps, keep it on my computer, nobody's going to see it, I'll be fine. But then part of me was like, that book has a purpose. It's not mine. It's got to be out in the world. So I followed through. But I've had lessons over my life like that, where I had this choice point of I can risk being uncomfortable, risk being seen, risk being vulnerable to make a difference in the world that's positive, or I can just stay quiet, stay small, and be complacent. And I've done that so many times where thankfully, more often than not, I've chosen to be quite uncomfortable because it's more fun. So the choice we have to be saying it, to be non-complacent is the way to do it. And one actual thing I'll say as well for men in general, it's one thing I learned in my journey with masculine and feminine learning. The masculine energy is goal-oriented. We as men, like we achieve goals. We got to go for the goal. We get there. The thing is for us men, though, is we want to be done. Our real ultimate goal for everything else is we want to be complete. So we go for the goal, we get it, and then we put our feet up. For many men, they go for one goal and they stop there. What men forget to do oftentimes is to have another goal behind the first one, behind the second one, behind the third one. Like John was saying with the kids leaving the house, is there's next level you can get to, next achievement of relationship success, whatever that is for you. Be more loving, be more kind, rearrange the house, whatever that is. But it's like we get comfortable and we get lazy, and it's like we get forgetful about what needs to be focused on. So, okay, I think I'm done for now.
Wow, that's the most I've heard him in.
Wow,
I love that.
It's Barry. I mean, you say that, and it's like to consciously like remember how special each moment is. Even when I'm doing, I'm sure you guys understand this. I'm doing seminars, and I have to remind myself as I step up there at the beginning of a training day or a seminar day, and I'm doing my thing. I have to remind myself, you're blessed to be standing here. You're not special. You're blessed to be standing here, and treat it that way. And I'm much better when I'm operating out of that kind of thought. And the same thing with relationships. It's like, if I'm not looking over and saying, thank God, or, I'm so lucky to have this. It's really easy just to fall into that malaise, that comfort zone, which, the more comfortable I got, usually the more uncomfortable everyone around me got. Mm-hmm. That was always like the trick in my families. But Rex, how are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm all right. Whatever.
Jeez.
Hi, Rex.
Hi.
Love you, Rex. Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Smoke a highlighter and perk up a little bit,
Not
would you?
avoiding the
I
wave.
got here when I could.
We're happy you came. We're
Well,
always
that's
happy.
good. Someone is.
Yeah, well, you don't have your glasses on today.
So complacency, huh?
Yeah.
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 Rex, I don't know you, but you look like exactly what complacency would be if that was a face.
And
He's an actor, so therefore.
And that is the truth. And that is the truth. So, you know, I've listened to a lot of great stuff, but I sometimes wonder. You know, Napoleon Hill said some dog. You know, it looks to me that I always read that as dog shit or cheese.
I gotta tell you, I read it the exact same way. Exactly, I read it,
and I know what it says because it's my quote. But it's like I'm like, you cheese.
I'll fix that.
So, but you know, here. So I have a few thoughts on this, and that is Napoleon Hill. You know, when he wrote Laws of Success in the, you know, and it came out in the 20s, and then, you know, Think and Grow Rich came out in the 30s, said, you know, 2% of the population will achieve their goals, and 5% will die without having any, you know, not have enough money, and all the people, you know, are one, you know, paycheck away from disaster and this kind of thing. And those same statistics are here 80 years later or nearly 100 years later. They haven't changed in terms of the population. I belong to Screen Actors Guild. 1% to 2% make a living at acting, and 98% of them don't. Some of them never make any money. I mean, just zip. They belong. They pay their union dues. In fact, they support the union, and they've never made a dollar, other than the first dollar that they made to get in the union. So, are we complacent? Or is that part of just the conditioning? You know, the cave people probably went out. The guy beat to death the saber-toothed tiger, went back to the cave and said, okay, feed me. I'm done for the day. I brought you food. I mean, how many more goals should he have that night? You know, should he go out and then beat an owl and then beat a monkey and then beat a zebra and then, you know, and then come back and go? I mean, at some point, I think that what happens with the personal development field is they go, have a goal, 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 have a goal. And you never see the end. And I think most guys, the whole idea of a man cave is like, I want to shut out the world. I got my man cave. Now let me relax. Now, but that is part of our conditioning. I do truly think, you know, and I think that the people who are inspired to set goals or have dreams or dream big, you know, do affect more change for themselves and hopefully for others than those who are comfortable. But our brain looks for matches, you know. The fact that you can be in a crowd and go, oh my God, look, there's Sally, and you get close to her. That's not Sally at all. It doesn't even look like her close up, but somehow your brain imposed certain things from whatever you saw, the lighting, the features, or whatever, and your brain went, Sally or Bob or whoever it might be. So, you know, we tend to gravitate toward these things that are familiar. And for most people, what's familiar? The comfort zone. Because going out of the comfort zone is scary. But I don't think people think about it. I mean, you know, when I think about my stuff, I've never been honest enough to go, I'm afraid to go on this audition. I just go, oh, I hate auditioning. You know, I was never really realistic about what it was that I didn't like. I was afraid I'd be rejected. If I was rejected, it meant that I had no value. And if I had no value, then what the hell was I? You know, so, I mean, I think sometimes we fill in for a lot of other people their inner dialogue, their inner motivations, what inspires or motivates them. And we overthink it, and they don't. They just are doing what they do because they don't know to do any different. You know, they're governed by their habits. They're governed by the very things that have kept them the same all along. And unless they have some major catastrophe in their life, they don't change much. Or they get, because I mean, look at all the people who win the lottery and then end up broke again. Mm-hmm. I mean, it should tell us that there's this massive default. But Hill called it drifting. Yeah. And I realized in my life, even now, I drift more than I do anything. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, enlightened being that I am, I drift more and do less because I think I deserve to do less now, but I do less and I drift more. I have intent, I have purpose, I have things that I want to accomplish, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life struggling to have those things. I want to go lie down in that hammock, have my mojito, and sell shells to the girls on the island. I don't, you know, I mean, I would rather do that than be pursuing, stuff inside a corporation or selling millions of books or whatever it might be. So I say this complacently, but I say this because I do think that people don't think much of it. When I first moved from Los Angeles to the Midwest, and I go back and forth, I live in two places, but when I moved to the Midwest, after a while, somebody said, how do you like the Midwest? And I said, by the way, this is going to piss off a lot of people, especially Midwestern people. So I apologize in advance for that. But I said, sometimes I wish that I was born where it was okay for me to work in the factory, 12, 15 hours a day, come home, bowl on the weekends, meet my significant other once in a while, and have some beer and pizza. And that would be the good life, because that's what it seemed like. Everybody in Hollywood was pursuing publishing or acting or modeling or directing or filmmaking or financing or something. Everybody had a goal and had a career. I got to the Midwest, everybody had a job and they hated their jobs. So if they could go bowling or do a barbecue on the weekend, and nothing shook their tree too much, they were happy. And I went, they're content. And I don't have that contentment. I want all this other stuff, and they're content to just do as it is. So I think complacency is a huge part of what is governing people, and that's just because it's a habit and not something that they want or don't want.
Well, but as you're saying it, Rex, I'm seeing that.
Two Scots.
Sorry,
it was
like a
no waiting.
Back we just saw.
What?
Let me try this real quick, Rex. So what I'm getting out of some of that is that complacency to one is not complacency to the other. I mean, it really is based on what you truly want and desire. Complacency can't be assigned like, oh, you're complacent. What if that person doesn't want to be doing those things? So this is really about self-knowledge and knowing what you really want. Is that what you're trying to say? Or part of what you're saying?
Okay.
I'm asking, is that part of what you're saying?
I mean, how you take it is how you take it. I don't care.
What?
John, welcome to our world.
I mean, make up your own mind. I mean, isn't that what it's truly about? Is it's going to be meaningful for the person who is meaningful, and for the other people, we'll be assigning something to them. So I
Okay. I wasn't trying to create any argument on that. I was just saying, I was trying to put a point on that complacency isn't something you could just assign to people. I mean, it's like, depending on who you are and what you want. You're right. One guy working in a factory, drinking beer on weekends and bowling and eating pizza. If that's all they want, they're not being complacent. They're just, they fulfilled what they want. And I think we forget that sometimes, because we think if they don't achieve something that I think they should achieve, they're being complacent, but they're not.
Yes. Well, that's what I mean when I mentioned that thought leaders tend to, I think we overthink things and think that because we think it's important to have the next goal, or success is a steady progression toward a worthwhile goal. So as long as you're moving toward a goal, you're succeeding. When some people are like, I'm done. I just want to relax. I'm good with where I'm at.
Yeah.
And they don't think about it. I mean, how many people don't read books? And now they want to ban books.
We got one on the panel.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was a question for the panel. Excuse me.
God, you're wonderful. I don't know you, but I love you already. And no, but I mean, they don't finish programs. They don't read books. They sign up for all the webinars and then don't go. They don't open their emails. And if they do open their emails, they toss them. They don't click on anything. So, I mean, there's a huge part of people who are satisfied being where they are, even if they say they don't like to be where they are. Because if you did, we always do what's important to us. I mean, I would argue that, but that doesn't mean we know what's important to us. But if you go, oh my God, there's a sports thing happening, there's some sporting event or some music event or something, people find the money for that, or I'm going to go to my friend's, barbecue. They find, but they'll do what's important, and they won't do what's not important. So if personal growth and development, spirituality and enlightenment and all this stuff isn't important to them, they don't care. They're just doing what they do. And we look at that and go, wow, they are just living their lives. But maybe they're having a great old time. This is what I meant when I said these people, and I didn't mean it pejoratively. I was like, they were content to do what I thought was like, how could anybody be content doing that? But they're content. They're happy. So how can I?
They're happy until one day they realize that everybody else on their bowling team quit. The beers run out and all this stuff. And they're going to have to make different decisions because the beer they liked, they went out of business too. So eventually you're going to have to change things around sometime. That's all. No, I know Scott wanted to say something real quick too.
Well, I was just, there's a pretty good manual that says something about contentment. And I've learned to be content when I've had much, learned to be content when I have little.
Yeah.
Right. It's about the contentment side. And it's one of the things that I wrote in That Sucks What Now is that for me, it's not striving for success, because striving for success puts you on the hamster wheel of life. You just start, I got a goal. Oh, I got a new goal. And you just go goal after goal. Rather, what I search for is significance. And significance can be done in a very simple fashion, right? Significance is what John was talking about, making 3 people feel great by 7:30 in the morning. That's significance. Now that's something that you can rally behind and feel good about no matter where you are, right? As long as you're, you just get to a point where at least I just want to be an adder to the situation, whatever that might be. And that makes a big difference along the way for me personally. Now, nobody else has to do that. That's cool. I did not come out with a magic card that says I'm judge and jury. It's not, I gotta live what I believe, and I gotta do those things, and that works pretty well. And you have great friends like you all that you can take some great wisdom from and some great guidance, and go, yeah, you know what, that would be cool to modify that a little bit, and maybe work a little harder, or do a little this, or do a little that.
That's beautiful. By the way, I'm going to add, there's the Hippocratic Oath, the 2 commandments. When you think about it, there are only 2 commandments. You got the 10, but kick them aside because
it's the 2 and the other 8.
But the 2 of them will fulfill all the other ones. And that is, first, do no harm, and second, seek to do good.
Yeah.
So if your idea is not to harm anybody, hurt anyone, insult anybody, or diss them in some way, or to make them feel valid and respected and loving and kind and compassionate, so don't do any harm and just do good. And, and whatever you have, be happy. I mean, this is one of not the commandments, but, be grateful for whatever you have and live life, as best you're able. And I think, it's the people who want to get to the mountaintop that then go, I know that they're not regretting not getting the mountaintop. They're regretting other things probably when they die. But, so we shouldn't necessarily inspire everybody to get to the mountaintop. We should inspire them to follow their heart, to do whatever is most important to them, that gives them freedom and allows them to love and live harmoniously with those around them, to make the entire world a better place, just through the ripple effect of what John and you guys have been suggesting before I showed up here. So
love that, Rex.
I like that, because a lot of people get to, the whole thing about getting to the mountaintop. Some people get to the mountaintop and they were so focused on that mountaintop that they didn't experience the climb. And that's the shame of it a lot of times. But
some guys,
I love this.
Off.
So they what?
Well, some get to the mountaintop and fall off, or look at all the dead bodies on the top of Everest.
Yeah,
never made it back down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, but at least they made it.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow. That's a whole other show, brother. That's a whole other show.
That flies into the bug trap, and they go, look, he's going to the light. Whoa, he made it.
Zipper.
My father.
Otis, Otis.
When I was obsessed doing TV and radio and doing all that and trying to become like, something big, I wanted to be big. And I was so obsessed with it. I would get upset when things didn't
big,
go
like
right
this?
or something. And
Scott Jones here, and do you love a green lawn? Do you love a clean
like what?
lawn? But you don't want to do the
A clean and a green lawn, or a green and a clean lawn. I like that. I would stumble on that, but you did that really well.
So you muted Scott?
No, he muted himself.
There we go. All right. So I was so obsessed.
I was just trying to help your
my
memory.
father said something to me. It made a lot of sense. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a nightmare for me. God, I hate YouTube. It's got shit out there I never want people to see. My father says, how much shit can you fit in your coffin? And that was the one thing he told me. He says, how much shit can you fit in your coffin? And I never really thought about it. And even when he said it, it was just, to me, I'm like, well, you're being a jackass. Don't say it. But after a while, I think it was when I stepped away from all that and I got away from all the pressures of trying to be number one in the market, trying to do this, trying to do that. And I started just working with people and becoming better at being Scott instead of being Mr. Scott on radio. I was just Scott. And I became better at that. I started to understand that. The only thing I can fit in a coffin is what I've got up here, what I've got in my heart, what I carry in my soul. And that's really the big stuff for me. So that had to change for me. And it was like the mountaintop became much different. The mountaintop became like just peaks and valleys that I just go through every day, and appreciating that and having fun with life. Life is supposed to be fun, I think. Well, at least for me. I don't know. Maybe some people like it miserable. Maybe they do. Maybe they like that stuff. But for me, I don't know. I like to wake up in the morning with a little smirk on my face and go to bed with a smirk on my face saying, I got away with it again. I did it again.
I'm going to buy another 24, brother.
You might look at statistics. How many people are willing to be distracted, whether they use a phone or a device or a movie or a play or a sporting event or something. I mean, it would seem that people would rather be. I don't know that they'd rather be, but they want to be entertained. They want to feel good. They want to have something that they enjoy. So I think life is to be enjoyed, and sadly, societally wise, we made it a thing about work and taxes and death and all that kind of stuff. And then we get into this corporate thing or the factory thing. You have to be a good worker, work your 12, 15 hours and get your gold watch, which you don't get anymore, and get your retirement, which you don't get anymore, and get your benefits, which you don't get anymore. Or you got to be an entrepreneur or a solopreneur or a franchise owner or a brand this or a brand that.
Yeah.
This is the problem with a lot of the thought leaders is they keep pushing people into the very same thing that society is pushing people into, instead of saying, you want to be a poet and sit under a tree? Go for it. If you can find a way to live that way, or you got a whole team of people that'll feed you. I mean, and I'm not making fun of that. I'm saying if you can do it, do it. Just find your path, make your path happen. Maybe you make money and you retire and you become, the guy who gave away his, Bugatti or whatever. And what's his name? Guru without the car, and the backpack guy. So
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, just live simply. Just live your life, live your dream, whatever that is, and be kind to other people. Do no harm and seek to do good. Have a good life.
One of my mentors way back when somebody was in this perplexing business process, trying to understand what they were supposed to do, his remedy was very simple. Go sit on a rock for 30 days. Do nothing.
Yeah.
Let it bubble up. What are you passionate about? Just stop trying to make things happen. Allow your heart, your soul to release what's really going to fulfill you and make you happy.
Absolutely.
Well, if you think about it, Jesus and Charles Bronson had a lot in common. I mean, if you forgive all this, the birth story and everything else, Charles Bronson always comes from nowhere and goes to nowhere, and Jesus came from nowhere and went somewhere that nobody knows. And
right.
But he just showed up. He just showed up with John the Baptist. I mean, because last time you saw him, he was 11 years old. So what did he do? He went to the desert. He just went into the desert. He was alone, for those 40 days and 40 nights that it rained, that kind of thing. And then allegedly was tempted with, here's all these good things and here's all that, and I'll give you all this power. And he's like, no, I got my own mission, So I think, you're right on there. I mean, you just go sit on a rock, go veg out, go really reflect on what it is that's important to you, and let everything else go. And hopefully,
I love that. I love that. I want to ask Barry though, our relationship guy, because you're going to write the book. You're going to answer the questions, brother. All right.
Yeah, it's a heavy book.
When you,
like I said, I was scared to write it. Bring it.
How do you reconcile that with relationships where, it's like, I'm starting to listen to me and I know what I want to achieve and I know what I want to do. And it's no longer about being complacent. It's about this is the level I'd like, and this is what I like to do, and this is I want to be happy. Now you got the other person doing the same thing, but you still have to make compromise to be together. So, I mean, that's where it becomes difficult, because if you got two people who are completely know themselves and know exactly what they want, sometimes that can take you in paths that take you apart unless you make some efforts to do some crossover there. But does that rob you of your experiences?
It's a good question. And the truth is, it's going to be up to each individual person. Because the thing is, for me, having done this journey for being in the personal development field, and I totally get what Brooks is saying about the goal thing. I remember that vividly. So, but to come back to this question in particular, for me, relationships, most people have got relationships where they're basically looking at finding their other half. And that's in my book too. And that is going to be a problematic situation, because at some point in time, you realize you're not half anymore. The other person still thinks you are, and that's a problem. So I believe relationships are two whole people coming together, like, obviously.
Yeah.
But people don't act that way. So when it's two whole people coming together, that's two individuals with their own decisions, their own thoughts, their own emotions, playing together in relationship. The key is, though, when you're aligned with somebody, and the truth is really the best relationship is where people are aligned with values and go together into the distance where they want to go. Because some people in a relationship are like, oh, I found the perfect person. They're stuck nose to nose. They can't see where they're going anyway. So a healthy relationship. Seriously. That's why I like doing the idea of like bumps together or bumps side by side, because when two people are fully self-actualized, working on their stuff, being whole, being healthy, they'll find someone to partner with, to do that with. And partnership is what I talk about a lot in relationships, because it's really partnering up with somebody where you can achieve your goals, they can achieve their goals, or whatever it is you want to do. Ideally, they're complementary to each other. And if it's the same goal, even better. But it doesn't have to be. But the thing about that coming apart, friends of mine did this. They basically had a relationship that lasted, well, they're about 30 years before one of them passed away. But they spent quite a lot of their time apart because they knew they were partners, but they knew they needed to do their own path along the way. So sometimes that path was meandering away from each other. But they came together all the time, and they were loyal to each other the whole time, because that's what they felt in their hearts, what they wanted. Did not mean they need to be in each other's face the whole time.
I like that.
That's well said.
I like that.
Look at,
That
we're
was
almost
awesome, man.
we're almost out of time, but I think we should start with our newcomer here, Scott, on our wrap up. What do you think?
Yeah, John, what we like to do is we're getting down to the last about 11 minutes, 12 minutes of the show. We do a go around, and everybody has a chance to make some comments about the show and about what they think. So, give yourself a minute or two, and
I will take 13 minutes to wrap up. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
He's going to fit in right in.
First of all, man, I
Rizzo?
love you, baby.
What?
I mean, I haven't done anything. Ask my wife. I haven't done anything for 13 minutes and 30 years, but that's a whole different show. So we'll talk about that later. Lynn, I love you, man. I was so fortunate to meet you and Deb and do the show. And some guy just commented that John's the best mortgage guy. And I got to tell you, I don't know who it is, but I absolutely believe him. Oh, there he is. Hey, where am I going next? Scott, seriously, 20 minutes with you? Dude, I'm telling you, I connect, you connect, we connect. The other Scott, your vision, what you say, the way you say it, the quality way you say it, you mean it, man. You're not dicking around. It's honest to God. You mean what you say, and people, that's what people do. Mr. Hollywood, dude, the way you take your time to go through it and talk to people and use your gestures, every single person. Hey, Lynn, can you put me on that other screen? Because I don't want to miss anybody. I don't want to see my big head, but I think I just missed somebody. Where we go? Oh, Rex, yeah. Just the way you were. I know I'm a moron. It happens.
You're good.
I know, but stop moving it around, Lynn. I can't do this.
Welcome to the show.
But honestly, the way everybody on here is so passionate about you. Do Barry, your relationship advice. It's so cool to be on here literally for 49 minutes and feel like you've known people for 10 years. I will take everything you've said to heart. I will bring that into my marriage relationship, my work relationship. This is honestly the best 48 minutes I've had in a very long time. So
outside your marriage.
48 minutes, baby. 6 kids didn't equal 48 minutes, sweetheart. Combined.
Ay, Dios mío.
All right. I love you all. I will stop. Thank you.
Oh, you are awesome.
John, you fit right in, brother.
Yeah, he
Thank
does.
you. Thank you so much. There's a seat here for you every week, I'll tell you.
I
Wow.
hope you can make it next week too, because it's always rotating here, and I just love it. But I'm going to stick Barry in here real quick.
Okay.
John, that was amazing. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you
I
all.
knew you fit. I knew everybody would love you on this panel. I just knew it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for your contribution, but also the fact that you walked in here without any no intro, just jump straight in. So thank you for putting both feet in and bring the goods. It was good. Thank you, John. Boy, I want to say to finish off. I think I said all I want to say, except that. Well, there's one more thing. There's got to be one more thing. Truly, this whole conversation about complacency is that none of us in this conversation today were complacent. We all brought different perspectives and all different attitudes. And I'll come back to this point again, that having time when you're not doing something, which I think, I'm trying to remember, it was Scott or it was Rex that said it's about going and sitting on a rock. That thing about being still does not mean you're complacent. You know, when you're actually taking time to consciously, keyword, consciously sit with what's going on, to work through something, to be open to new information, new input, that's active, that's still participating. So complacency is really when you're doing nothing to avoid things. That's probably the best way of putting it. So if you're avoiding something, what's the reason? What are you avoiding it for? Is it really that scary? Is it really that hard? Is it really that, you know, if it's not working for you, choose something else. Life's an adventure. Let's have fun.
Love it.
Barry,
Well put,
you're
man.
awesome.
Well put.
I love you, Barry. Thank you.
Really, really strange.
Two
And
heads.
I have no idea where this thought came from. Seriously, I was just listening to all this. But I mean, our body right now is regenerating. Everything is growing. You know, we're spitting off the old, we're gaining the new every minute of every day. And so it has to mean that we've been made for constant movement, constant moving forward, whatever that might mean to us, you know, from that side. So, I mean, it's really about one time I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, you know, the reason we're on this planet is to expand and, you know, to continue to learn, to grow, to impart, to do things. And if we look at, you know, where technology is today, somebody said, this one technology creator, he said, "Mal, this new technology is hardest technology I've ever put together, so much harder than the ones I did in the past." Well, because there's so many more moving parts these days. You know, they had one phone line to work with in the past, and they had one telephone and one telephone company, and the damn things had cords on them. And, you know, now all of a sudden you got microwaves and you got this and you got that and you got all these different versions. And that's where I think people might tend to get a little overwhelmed with it all, is just because of the pace of the surroundings. But I think if you can come back into yourself and just really be really good with who you are, go back to what I said earlier, you know, the continual gratitude. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share time with you knuckleheads. I mean, it's always a blast. There's always something that happens, whether it's Rex smoking a highlighter or who knows, you know. And if you think he actually puts that down and doesn't light it after the show, you're wrong.
Truth comes out.
but no, I mean, just the different takes on this and the desire of people to want to impart things that can be of service to others is just so cool. That's all part of the growing mechanism, you know, and we all have our own little takes on it and what's going on. But, you know, I think if you're moving forward continually, it's pretty hard to get complacent. I think you just stay in action, and action could be sitting on that rock, like we're talking about.
Yeah.
I love you too, Hips.
Absolutely. Thank you,
so
Scott.
much. You're awesome.
Always, man. The knuckleheads all love you, brother.
Yeah. Rexter.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I
That's what
find
you
that
had
very
last week,
hard to
Rex.
believe.
Well, then,
I love all of you. It's all been really wonderful. John, great to meet you. Thank you so much, Barry. It's wonderful to see you and get to share space with you each weekend. Scott, you look amazing. And it is, I never have seen you like this until tonight. And I was looking at you going, wow, you're really looking good. And then I realized two things. One is you didn't have the background, which kind of obscures who you are. No, what I'm saying, with a green screen. And here, you're lit. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're looking great, man. This is very cool.
Why,
And of
thank
course, no, it's good. No, you're all great. You all made wonderful points and everything else.
What's the second point?
Huh?
You said there were two things about Scott. You said one. I didn't see the other one.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
You said there were two things.
and you said the second point. You said 2 points
About what?
Scott.
about
Scott.
two hipster.
I don't recall.
Okay. Okay.
Barry,
Right
Rex has
now,
said
I
nice
know-
things about me
Then you
now.
get me to go
You can
back.
say nice things. No.
No. What I meant was that you look great. You look fantastic, and not that I didn't think you did before, but I'm just saying that being able to see you without the weird digitizing things, you're looking good.
That was my
natural.
You look like
backpedal.
Max Headroom anymore. You look like Scott. That's great.
It's the natural look. Yeah.
I wanted to add some things that I took away here tonight, and that's like Scott Two Hips says, being grateful and the dignity and honor and respect. He gives that all the time, but it really has to start within, and that's like everything from within comes without, according to Rex. And so what I like and what I realize is movement is constant. So possibilities are infinity, and we forget that. We forget that there is nothing is solidly going to stay. Everything's always constant. So nothing's always going to be like you always think it's going to be, because always doesn't exist. Truly.
Absolutely.
So and then I realized, Two Hipsters spending this time with me, but he tells a story and now it makes sense. It's really he's trying to spend less time with his in-laws, but that's okay. We're glad we could be here of the service to you.
Potato.
I love you, Tips. You're such an awesome guy. But really, it doesn't matter who shows up. It's always the right people at the right time and the right topics. And we're just honored for that. And, I'm just always honored to have such an amazing, awesome Tuesday night with you guys. And John, I do hope that you do come back to be with us. And
lose my number.
So Scott, my Jonesy, what would you like to add to the mix? Hey, Tim.
I just, you know what? There's times when I have aha moments, and this was one of them today. This was really brilliant. All of you just spending time and talking about this, but I was going under the false assumption that I can identify where people were being complacent, but and that was a false assumption. When I'm talking about people in recovery, and I'm talking about helping people who need extreme amounts of help, and I'm always like, I'm throwing that word complacent around like it's nothing, but I'm not considering who they are, where they're at, or what they want. And without having that information, I can't make that judgment. And Rex, you helped me out with that today. I appreciate it, brother. I've got to start letting people, dictate which direction they want to go in, and maybe I can assist them in that way. But I know it's really hard sometimes when you're a trainer, or when you're a public speaker, or when you're a motivator of any kind. Sometimes it's really easy for us to start assigning those things, and I think it's a slippery slope. We got to be careful about that. When there's enough of the world telling us that we're not tall enough, we're not tan enough, we're not muscled enough, we don't have enough money. There's enough of the world telling us that. We don't need to add to that. And I would like to do better at allowing people to identify what they want. And if I can help them on their path, then that's great. But stop identifying their path for them. So I appreciate you for that, all of you guys, because you put me in that frame of mind today, and I need to stay with that.
Can
Rex?
I add something? Can I add something? One, I love you, Lynn and Scott. I just wanted to get you in with the other people because I was acknowledging you. all of us here, I think like anyone, you go out and you find a restaurant, you go, oh, you got to try this restaurant. You go to a movie, you say, oh, you got to see this movie. You read a book, you go, oh my God, you got to. Every single person here has something that they know, their truth. They know they want to give it away. They want to help other people. They help the entire world. They know that the world, each and every person, all 8 billion of them, would be better if they would only listen or adopt or receive what it is that we're trying to give them. And yet, you know what? Not everybody will resonate with each of us. And it's hard to have a gift and then people don't want it. But you know what? It's because you have a gift. So always remember, that gift that each of you have here that you're giving to people is just absolutely beautiful. And some will take it and some won't, but you still have the gift.
I think that'd be a great topic sometime, because I hear you and feel you, Scott. Sometimes you just see it one way, but yet you don't see it from the other person's point of view. And yet, so you don't think, I think because you don't think you're doing enough for that person. Sometimes, you want to do all this more, you can see things, but like we're fabric in each other's lives. So it's like a puzzle piece. We all have a piece that you connect with somebody and it puts another latch onto the fabric of your life. And we forget that we only have so much that we're supposed to do. We're, like Shakespeare, we all are an actor in each other's play, and
Absolutely.
It's just, we have to remember that. We have to remember that as long as you come from the right place and give that love, if they need it, they'll receive it. If they don't, they don't. It's nothing personal. And so
I'll tell you what, Lynn, you just wove the perfect curtain drape, whatever it is, with these 6 people. Honestly, from just meeting these 6 people, if we are tonight to reach out, here's the goal from me to you. Take her to leave it. I don't give a rat's ass. Reach out to 3 people. Make them feel goddamn phenomenal. And let's connect. Let's share cell phones. Let's do this every day, man. 3 people a day. 21 people a week. I can't add for 48 people a month.
he uses a mortgage program. So
and then you got a mortgage thing. Stop it. But I'm telling you, man, the difference you guys have made in my life from not meeting any of you except for the phenomenal Lynn. I'm doing it tonight. I'm hanging up, man. I'm texting. I'm making people feel good. By 8 o'clock Chicago time, you're goddamn right. I'm going to make 40 people feel like the top of the world thanks to you. That's what you've done.
Well, you guys, we're gonna stop at that place, but don't you guys leave in the background here. Thank you again so much for you guys being here. We love you, and we hope to see you next Tuesday.
See you next week, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
See y'all.
Keeping me